First, thank you for the organizer for these opportunities. I'm Jordi Perez, postdoctoral research Juan de la Cierva at the University of Girona. I have been a member of the CEIPAC group Science Tonight and a member of the UBIC Science its Foundation. Today, I will be in charge of detailing the scientific activity of the group CEIPAC and the different activity research and what our future prospects are. I have entitled Communication, Amphorae, and Epigraph Experience in the Development of Database in CEIPAC Projects 30 Years of Research. The CEIPAC was born in 1989 under the direction of Professor José Remesal. Here you can meet the members of the group today. The group is made up of 6 professors, 5 from the University of Barcelona and 1 from the King Juan Carlos, 3 postdoctoral students, 1 from the University of Barcelona, another from University of Trier, and myself from the University of Girona. We currently have 4 doctoral theses in progress, one on Roman law, another about the Roman theaters and elites in Spain, other about the lands of Lucerna in present-day Catalonia, and last about production and trade of wine in the Layetanian region. Finally, several collaborators will join us with our thesis. As you can see, our line of research focus on the studies of society, economy, and culture of ancient Rome, especially the food trade and amphorae epigraphy. Actually, we received fundings from 4 different projects to maintain, firstly, the CEIPAC database with more than 44,000 data entries, and secondly, to continue with the archaeological excavation and the review of materials from the site of Camp Modolell in Cabrera de Mar, a religious building, and the Kela Binaria in Teia, a Layetanian wine production center. In parallel, we continue with the excavation and studies at Monte Testaccio in Rome, and state olive oil amphora dam located in the logistic area of Roman Portus. We are always interested in renovate the methods and techniques for the study of ancient history and for accepting multidisciplinary as a basis for future research. His interest led him to get an advanced grant, the EPNet project. The Roman Empire trade system is generally considered to be the first complex European trade network. It formed an integrated system of interaction and interdependence between the Mediterranean basin and Northern Europe. The EPNet project, production and distribution of food during the Roman Empire, economics and political dynamics, was devoted to setting up an innovative framework to investigate the mechanisms and characteristics of the commercial trade system during the Roman Empire. The main objective was to create an interdisciplinary experimental laboratory for the exploration, validation, and falsification of existing theories and for the formulation of new ones. CEIPAC original effort during its first decades was to accumulate data to promote the use of the epigraphic database among the science community. It was from the EPNet project that our interest varied in the search for new analysis methods and new digital tools that could solve the study of large data sets in an emerging big data context and extremely analysis process as we have never seen before, unless in humanities. Romanopendata is an exploratory interface to our dataset means to analyze our data and encourage the scientific community. Today, we will talk about the change as a result of the project. Remesal has always told us about the weight that EPINET has supposed for all community in this sense of a paradigm shift that has led us to link up produce in the search of accumulation of data, conference, and the publication of proceedings and chapter of books. Now, our interests as scientific have changed. We want better big data analysis process published in open access index, make our virtual curricula visible. We start from the study of key element of any culture, the organization of the food supply system, a particularly relevant fact in the Roman Empire, given the emperor had the inside supply of the capital, in this case Rome, and his army, scattered in the white borders in the empire, in the limes. To do this, at CEIPAC, we have set up a database based on a relation system in which we collect information on the distribution of Amphorae into the package form, products in their epigraphy. We currently have more than 40,000 records that represent more than 1 million data. EPINET has made it possible to migrate this database to an ontological system, romanopendata, with not all expense or analysis possibility, but all the possibility of interrelating our database with other that collect information on multiple other aspects and documents relates to the economic life of the Roman Empire. The volume of documents collected in our projects allow us for the first time to have a large amount of serial data, and in the case of the Vatican olive oil history, not only to have serial data, but also data with absolutely chronological, a unique case in the ancient world in which the lack of document is considered the most problematic issue. With regard to the general questions raised in our project, we can offer a novel answer on at least 2 questions. The Roman economy can be defined as an open economy in which the large number of actors appropriate into what they define today a modern economy. On the other hand, we have revealed the influence of the state that by needing a series of products to be transported to supply the army, and Rome allowed the development of a true trade in unknown products in the other regions, thousands of kilometers from their place of production. It had been aired to the route to supply Germania, and Britannia was the wrong route. Our work has shown that the route for the supply of Germania and Britannia was the Atlantic route, which does not mean underdeveloping the wrong route, but really making the difference between one route and the other for the possible agents that intervene in other and other. Without a doubt, we have changed the way of working. Now we incorporate data analysis and visualizations tools into our daily lives to find patterns or singularities that explain the historical change in Rome. In the next minutes, I will highlight some lines of region in which I am participating. This month, we have worked excuse me. This month, we have worked together with our colleague, Tom Brookman, in the bibliographic analysis of studies related to the Amphorae epigraphy from its original in the 17th and 18th century, linked to the European academies to the present day. The temporal representation in the form of network has allowed us to know how the research has developed and observe the last interest for the research to guide future research to carry out a study of more specific impact. The same methods have served me recently to analyze the origin of precious stones cataloged in the book of Pliny the Elder, highlighting the great presence in the east of the Roman Empire, particularly in Egypt, Arabia, or India. This has allowed us to differentiate between two routes of supply of precious stones to the east, the maritime route and the terrestrial route of the Silk Roads. Returning to the statue, an investigation related to the painted epigraph known as Tituli Picti appears on olive oil amphorae is in progress. The inscriptions that interest us mention the evolution of the weight and tail of the amphoras. These Tituli Picti are now under the name of alpha, gamma, and delta. Without extending also, the use of new analysis tools has allowed us to renew the studies, including all the data. This trade is an example for a good health of the Roman Empire with more than 200 years of activity, and whose sustainability was necessary for its maintenance. In summary, we see a line of the weight and tail of this amphora increasing, and it is at the end of the Antonine government and the beginning of the Severians, with the olive oil control is simplified. We also observe a series of reforms of the system in the time of the Severs, with more interventionist policies since Caracalla government, when private agents disappear from the trade and distribution of olive oil. In parallel, the epigraphic visibility of new controllers make us think the existence of a group of treatments under the direction of Caracalla displays to the Baetica, Artemetius, Secundus, Restitutus, etc. Are they like to Severan? Are they Africans? We cannot affirm it. In short, we must be aware that all these proposals will not exist with the data, whether they are an inscriptions, a literary source, in this case, the Amphorae epigraphy. From the humanities, we should behave as many companies do, which configure their business plans to establish data as a center of their decision-making. To develop this new approach is very helpful to receive the benefits of the expert figura of data science or a chief data officer, who sometimes shows themselves to be an expert in terms of data processing and structuring process, but who is yet unaware of the meaning of the data or what are the appropriate questions to solve. For this reason, there are a growing need for the users that do not work within a highly technological culture and who was a simple viewer to make decisions and draw conclusions from simple data processing process, without having to need to become an expert developer of these processing tools. The number of sporadic users who try to avoid the boldness with the sometimes generated by the specialists is growing. A recent example can be seen with the new update of Tableau in 2019 for the version 3, and the build is option of ask data, which includes a search bar with which the established direct question with dataset whose data will able been previously hierarchized for categorization and which to summarize increasing complex question. On the other hand, during the data control, we should not underestimate the data cleaning or validation effort, the data cleaning or data quality, which in some case take 80 and 90% of our time. Tableau also offers the option of informing us of the outlier shown in the visualization through explain data, a tool that is capable of preparing reports by presenting reasons for possible anomalies or singularities within a general statistical model. All this shows the small number of people who combine a mixed curricular profile with those who know the data and the methods and techniques for the study of history, and the other hand, the experts dedicate to making tools of analysis on the other. In recent years, a series of analysis techniques have been developed, both in other fields applied to archaeological material, from radiocarbon dating to faunal analysis, passing from the multi-form activities developed by archaeometry applied to the study of ceramics and more. Techniques applied to the analysis of the territory, such as HIS or LEADER programs. But in most cases, it has been what we call a provision of service. The researcher in other side has made a report that has been used and interpreted by the archaeological without there being a transfer of knowledge between them. Each one has remained in this corner. Certainly in recent years, there has been progress in the field of multidisciplinarity, but it is necessary to give way to the so-called transdisciplinarity, in which research are trained with knowledge in the new application of complex systems at the same time as a discipline of historical character. In parallel, there is also an increase in recent years in hybrid profile or bridging profiles in field in humanities, today represented by a small number of people capable of a combination mixed curricular profile, knowledge by a side of the method and techniques for historical studies, and at the same time expert in the preparation of data analysis tool by assuming both language, if not in a equitable way, less minimal balanced. These profiles could be understood and function as mediators in transdisciplinarity and in the present interdisciplinarity. In this way, even knowing that multidisciplinary teams are not high-performance, they will work under the same umbrella. The main problems to avoid stay in the middle and encourage the formation of these profiles lie freezing the time dedicated to the instruction of these profiles, something with a double academic degree and with the addition of a postgraduate degree in one of the master degrees dedicated to the digital humanities, and second, in the few of brief projects to which they could be ascribed. To summarize, the adoption time to these new tools and new studies must be respected without losing the focus of our investigation by clarifying the question to be solved. After all, tools such as Carto, Tableau, LeadArcGIS, Flourish are still that tool. Of course, they can serve to streamline your analysis process, offer peace of mind, improve data management, and facilitate its use. Consequently, knowledge of this tool empower research will also help it to make decisions in the process of analysis. To this, we made that correct visualization of the information, so tools of Tableau, Historian, etc., become more indispensable every day to gain a perspective of integrated data and thus to become more efficient to research today in the future. Thus, thanks to our experience, we could propose a methodological conclusions with collaboration with the so-called pure science, far from the traditional vision of ancient history and its auxiliary discipline, is desirable and necessary for the simple fact that the data accumulated over several centuries can only be studied in an integral way, though so the collaboration, the case of the study of economy and society in antiquity, so the analysis of amphoric epigraphy is paradigmatic, but other terms of the social and economic history of antiquity can also be studied through this process. Finally, and going back to the beginning, once we have assumed the new paradigm resulting from the use of these new tools to speed up our investigation, we cannot lose sight of the essence of the historian. We reside in their reading of the search. Muchas gracias.